Chapter 4. The Keeper of the Keys. Boom! They knocked again. Dudley jerked awake. "Where's the cannon?" he said stupidly. There was a crash behind them, and Uncle Vernon came, skidding into the room. He was holding a rifle in his hands. Now they knew what had been in the long, thin package he had brought with him. "Who's there?" he shouted. "I warn you, I'm armed." There was a pause. Then, smash! The door was hit with such force that it swung clean off its hinges, and with a deafening crash, landed flat on the floor. A giant of a man was standing in the doorway. His face was almost completely hidden by a long, shaggy mane of hair and a wild, tangled beard, but you could make out his eyes, glinting like black beetles under all the hair. The giant squeezed his way into the hut, stooping so that his head just brushed to the ceiling. He bent down, picked up the door, and fitted it easily back into the frame. The noise of the storm outside dropped a little. He turned to look at them all. "Couldn't make us a cup of tea, could you? It's not been an easy journey." He strode over the sofa, where Dudley was sat frozen with fear. "But jump, you great lump," said the stranger. Dudley squeaked and ran to hide behind his mother, who was crouching, terrified, behind Uncle Vernon. "Here's Harry," said the giant. Harry looked up, fierce, wild, shadowy face, and saw that the beetle eyes were crinkled in a smile. "Last time I saw you, you was only a baby," said the giant. "Yeah, look, I don't like your dad, but you've got your mom's eyes." Uncle Vernon made a funny, rasping noise. "I demand that you leave at once. Sit," he said. "You're breaking and entering." Shut up, Dursley, you great prune," said the giant. He reached over the back of the sofa, jerked the gun out of Uncle Vernon's hand, bent it into a knot easily as if it had been made of rubber, and threw it into the corner of the room. Uncle Vernon made another funny noise, like a mouse being trodden on. "Anyway, Harry," said the giant, turning his back on the Dursleys. "A very happy birthday to you. Got some for you here. I might settle it at some point, but it'll taste alright." From an inside pocket of his black overcoat, he pulled a slightly squashed box. Harry opened it with a trembling fingers. Inside was a large, sticky chocolate cake with "Happy Birthday, Harry" written on it, green icing. Harry looked up to the giant. He meant to say thank you, but the words got lost on the way to his mouth. And what he said instead was, "Who are you?" The giant chuckled. True. I haven't introduced myself. Ruby's Hagrid, keeper of the keys and grounds at Hogwarts." He held out an enormous hand and shook Harry's whole arm. "What about that tea then?" he said, rubbing his hands together. "Honestly, no tutors somewhat stronger if they got in mind." His eyes fell on the empty glove with the shriveled chips bags in it, and he smiled. He bent down over the fireplace. They couldn't see what he was doing, but when he drew back a second later, there was a roaring fire there. It filled the whole den hut with flickering light, and Harry felt the warmth wash over him as though he sank into a hot bath. The giant sat back down on the sofa, sagged under his weight, and began talking all sorts of things out of the pocket of his coat. A copper kettle, a swash package of sausages, a poker, a teapot, several chipped mugs, and a bottle of some amber liquid that he took a swing from before starting to get tea. Soon the hut was full of the sound and smell of sizzling sausages. Nobody said a thing while the giant was working. By the sixth, the first six fat, juicy sizzling burnt sausages from the poker. Dudley fidgeted a little. Uncle Vernon said sharply, "Don't touch anything he gives you, Dudley." Uncle Vernon said sharply, "Don't touch anything he gives you, Dudley." The giant chuckled darkly. "Yeah, great pudding. Ovaston don't need fathom anymore. Dursley, don't worry." He passed the sausages to Harry, who was so hungry had never tasted anything so wonderful. But he still couldn't take his eyes off the giant. Finally, as nobody seemed about to explain anything, he said, "I'm sorry, but I still don't really know who you are." The giant took a gulp of tea and whipped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Call me Hagrid," he said. "Everyone does. Like I told you, I'm a keeper of the keys at Hogwarts." "You know, all about Hogwarts, of course." No," said Harry. Hagrid looked shocked. "Sorry?" Harry said quickly. "Oh, uh, sorry," Harry said quickly. "Sorry?" barked Hagrid, turning to stare at the Dursleys, who shrank back into the shadows. "It's them I should be sorry. I knew you weren't getting your letters, but I never thought you wouldn't even know about Hogwarts. For crying out loud. Did you never wonder where your parents learned it all?" "All what?" asked Harry. "All what?" Hagrid thundered. "Now, wait just 1 second." He had leapt to his feet. In his hunger, he seemed to fill the whole hut. The Dursleys were cowering against the wall. "Do you mean to tell me," he growled at Dursleys, "that this boy, know nothing about anything?" Harry thought this was going to Harry thought this was going a bit far. He had he had been to school after all, and his marks weren't bad. "I know some things," he said. "I can, do math and stuff, but..." Hagrid simply waved his hand and said, "About our world, I mean. Your world, my world, your parents' world." "What world?" Hagrid looked as if he was about to explode. "Dursleys!" he boomed. Uncle Vernon, who had gone very pale, whispered something that sounded like Hagrid stared wildly at Harry. "But you must know about your mom and dad," he said. "I mean, they're famous. You're famous." "What? My my mom and dad weren't famous, were they?" "Yeah, don't know." Hagrid ran his finger through his hair, fixing Harry with a bewildered stare. "You don't know what they are?" he said finally. Uncle Vernon suddenly found his voice. "Stop!" he commanded. "Stop right there. Sit. I forbid you to tell to the boy anything." The braver man that Vernon Dursley would have quailed under the furious look Hagrid now gave him. When Hagrid spoke, his every syllable trembled with rage. "You never told him? You never told him what was in the letter Dumbledore left for him? I was there. I saw Dumbledore leave it. Dursleys, and you've kept it for him all these years?" "Kept what from me?" said Harry eagerly. "Stop! I forbid you!" yelled Uncle Vernon in panic. And Petunia gave a gasp of horror. "Ah, go! Hold your heads, both of you," said Hagrid. "Harry, you're a wizard." And there was a silence inside the hut. Only the sea and the whistling wind could be heard. What?" gasped Harry. "A wizard, of course," said Hagrid, sitting back down on the sofa, which groaned and sank even lower. A champagne would done. "I'd say once You've been trained up a bit, but with a mom and dad like yours, what else would it be? I reckon it's about time you read your letter. Harry stretched out his hand at last to take the yellow chip envelope, addressed in emerald green to Mr. Harry Potter. The floor, hat on the rock, the sea. He pulled out the letter and read, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Headmaster Albus Dumbledore. Order of Merlin First Class. Grand Sorcerer. Chief Warlock. Supreme Mugwump. International Confederation of Wizards. Dear Mr. Potter, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Please find enclosed a list of all the necessary books and equipment. Term begins in September. We await you. We await your hour by no later than July 31. Yours sincerely, Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress. Questions exploded inside Harry's head like fireworks, and he couldn't decide which to ask first. After a few minutes, he stammered, "What? What does it mean? They wait my hour? Galloping Gorgons, that reminds me," said Hagrid, clapping a hand to his forehead with enough force to knock over a cart horse. And from yet another pocket inside his overcoat he pulled an owl. A real, live, or rather ruffled-looking owl, a long quill and a roll of parchment. With his tongue between his teeth he scribbled a note that Harry could read upside down. Dear Professor Dumbledore, given Harry his letter, taking him to buy things tomorrow. Weather's horrible. Hope you're well, Hagrid. Hagrid rolled up the note and gave it to the owl, which clamped in its beak, went to the door, and threw the owl out of the storm. Then he came back and sat down as though this was normal as talking to the telephone. Harry realized his mouth was open and closed quickly. Where was I? Said Hagrid. But at that moment, Uncle Vernon, still ashen-faced, but looking very angry, moved into the firefly. He's not going, he said. Hagrid grunted. I like to see a great muggle like you stop him, he said. A what? Said Harry, interested. A muggle, said Hagrid. It's what we call them non-magic folk like them. And it's your bad luck you grew up in a family of the biggest muggles I've ever had. Laid eyes on. We swore when we took him we'd put a stop to that rubbish, said Uncle Vernon. Swore we'd stomp it out of him. Wizards indeed. You knew, said Harry. You knew I'm a wizard? Knew, shrieked Aunt Petunia suddenly. Knew, of course we knew. How could you not be Drake's sister being what she was? Oh, she got her just like that and disappeared off to that school and came home every vacation with her pockets full of frog spawn, turning teacups into rocks. I was the only one who saw her for what she was, a freak. But for my mother and father, oh no, it was Lily this, Lily that. They were proud of having a witch in the family. She stopped to draw a deep breath and then went ranting on. It seemed she had been waiting to say all this for years.